All right.
Nice to meet you.
Y'all can have a seat, please.
Okay.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is David Suchoff. I am an associate professor in the Department of Crop and Soil Sciences, as well as the platform director for extension and outreach in the Plant Sciences Initiative. And I've got the distinct pleasure of being the moderator for this grower panel. I'm really, really excited because these folks really represent the best of the best that is North Carolina agriculture. And they also represent the diversity that is North Carolina agriculture. So yesterday we heard from the dean, and he talked about how important agriculture is to North Carolina, right? It is our #1 industry. But what a lot of folks may not know, especially those of you who may be coming from out of state, or even those of you in North Carolina, that our agriculture sector is the 3rd most diverse in the country. And I think that speaks volumes to our state, given our size compared to some of the other states. And so I think it's going to be really interesting to see how AI is deployed and employed currently and in the future in this very diverse agronomic landscape. So just some housekeeping. We've got 40 minutes for this panel. And what we're going to do is I've got roughly 20 minutes of prepared questions. And then we're going to open it up to you all for questions. So make sure that you are writing them down and ready to ask. And so I want to go ahead and start off by just setting the stage. And I want to have our panelists to first just introduce yourselves, tell us who you are, tell us a little bit about your farm or your industry or who you all are representing. So Craig, we'll start with you.
Sure. My name's Craig Westerbeek. I'm president of Smithfield Hog Production Division. Headquartered here in North Carolina, we have farms across about 10 states in the United States. We grow around 11.7 million market animals a year that go to our packing plants and then ultimately to our fresh and processed meat groups. Grew up in North Carolina, NC State graduate in 1993 in agriculture engineering. Been with Smithfield, Murphy Farms, and then Smithfield acquired them in 2000. Been with that group since 1993, so seems like a long time. I started when I was about 10 years old. I really didn't. But I have 4 children. I have one that recently graduated from NC State, and the other chose to go to other schools for some unknown reason, but I'm glad to be here.
Great, thank you. Elvin?
Good afternoon. I'm Elvin Eaton with Fairport Farms. We're a small, ecologically sustainable, minimum till grocery produce producer. We also grow microgreens in addition. My wife Madeline is here also. We started this venture as a retirement venture after we retired. So it's been really challenging, at the same time extremely rewarding. Our main market is we sell our produce primarily 98% to nonprofits who supply produce, nutrient-dense produce, to our local community and especially to the underserved, instead of getting the produce that was left over from, say, Walmart, Food Lion, Harris Teeter. So we feel as though the underserved deserve that fresh, nutrient-dense produce. That's been our business model. It's been very tough. We have very tight margins as farmers, as you know. We do have 3 grandchildren that here at State. One is a senior. We have a sophomore and a freshman. My grandson, he's a senior, graduating on time, an economics major with a minor in French and a minor in psychology. My granddaughter, that's a sophomore, is a materials engineering major. And my granddaughter, that's a freshman here, is a linguistics major. And my wife can tell you the rest.
That's pretty much it. For myself, I'm Madeline Eaton, co-founder of Fairport Farms. Fairport Farms was a dream that I was holding off until after retirement, and my dream came true. I had no idea that after 45 years in education that I would pick up something that was even more challenging. But I have enjoyed it. Thank you.
My name is Thomas Joyner. I'm from Eastern North Carolina, town Rocky Mount is nearby, probably nearest town. We have a company called Nash Produce. It's a small world. Craig and I were just talking. We both went to work with Murphy the same year. Well, that was my first job out of college, was going to work with Murphy Farms. It was an incredibly exciting place to work. But by education, I'm an accountant. I'm a CPA. I worked, after a year there, I went back to work with this guy that was in the cucumber and sweet potato packing operation. He was a farmer. And ultimately, I worked with him through about 2000. I left, went to work in the manufacturing business, and he decided he wanted to retire, as a lot of farmers decide they want to do. And he didn't have any kids that were interested in taking over, so he agreed to sell the operation to a group of farmers, local farmers, and there was about 20 of us that ended up buying it. And ultimately, we've been running this thing for a little over 20 years. In fact, this will be the 21st year. We focus on sweet potatoes, and we currently have about 72 growers. Technically, Nash Produce doesn't farm, but it is incredibly important for us to understand what the growers are going through so that they make money. I grew up on a farm. I've been exposed to it pretty much all of my life, and I understand how challenging all of those aspects are. So I'm kind of a little bit of a geek with spreadsheets and so forth, with numbers, and I kind of like to look at that stuff. So I need to know if my guys are making money. I mean, we have about 4 million bushels of storage, so we are a good sized packing operation. Some of the largest retailers in the country, we supply them. So we try to ensure that they get what they want, but we also got to ensure that the growers get what they want, that they survive and they make a little money. So,
Great. Thank you. Patrick?
Good afternoon. My name is Patrick Brown. I am the owner, fourth generation owner of Brown Family Farms. Next month will be 158 years that we've been in business. I've farmed since I was 6 years old with my father, left the farm at 18, went to college. I graduated from Fayetteville State University. Decided I did not want to continue farming, and I entered into the government sector, where after graduating from college, I worked in the intelligence community. Managed the farm after my father retired at 85 for about 10 years, and I finally came back to farm full-time in 2023. We primarily grow specialty crops and commodities. Two specialty crops that we grow are vegetables, leafy green vegetables and root vegetables for wholesale producers, and we grow industrial hemp fiber, and then we also grow soybean, wheat, corn, and we primarily farm in Warren, Franklin, and Vance counties.
Great. Thank you. All right, well, let's just jump right into it. And I want to start and talk just about adoption of AI. And pretty straightforward. Question is, do you currently employ AI? And what has been the impact if you have? And if you haven't, it's perfectly fine to just say no. So we'll start with you.
I think for me at Smithfield, probably one of the earliest areas we started using AI was in genetic selection. So Smithfield owns their own genetic line of animals, both on the terminal side and on the maternal side. And so we have a group of geneticists that use genomic mapping, and then that's how we select a lot of our sires and our females in terms of what growth characteristics, what type of characteristics they would have. So everything we do is natural selection. There's no GMO type process to it, but they heavily rely on, I'll call it AI because I think that's what it is, in running through all those numbers from a genomic standpoint. I think we're starting to do more in the area of scheduling pigs. A lot of people don't understand that every pig gets moved about 3 times by the time it gets to the market. I like to tell people we're really a logistics company that grows a few hogs. We drive about 12 million miles a year in between moving animals, moving feed, all those sort of things. So the other area is really routing, using GIS and some AI to help us understand how best to route vehicles. And We've been very successful with that and cutting mileage 10, 15% over the last several years. I think there's a lot of opportunity still in how we flow animals and how we track disease, all those sort of things. We're very interested in learning more, and we think the opportunity for AI in those areas is profound.
Great. Elvin, Madeline?
Well, yes, we do use AI. We have used AI for a while now. We've only been farming since 22. So, but even prior to that, if I had some of the other things that we did prior to farming, I would take a picture of, say, an insect. I'd send it to North Carolina State Entomology Department. I'd email it to them. They would come right back. I mean, usually same day, 15 pages on that particular insect, and which was great. But now I can take that picture in AI while I'm standing there. It tells me what the insect is, so forth and so on. And Madeline can give you other examples of how we use AI.
Right. Well, also, if we encounter a pest that we might not be familiar with and, actually in the tunnels, it's very easy to just go get information about it and not only find out what it is, but how to address that issue as well. AI is also instrumental in communications, whether it's for marketing purposes or communicating with our customers. It is something that is here. We're looking forward to learning so much more about it and employing it every day to make our entire operation more efficient.
Great. Thomas?
We use AI. We have our packing operation utilizes cameras. We don't utilize it to its full extent. We're working it actually. We're putting in some more equipment that will. But ultimately, the AI that we have would ultimately allow us to visually inspect all the sweet potatoes, and that's a big part of what we do, so that you could do it without people or do it without as many people. Labor has become a big issue for us, and obviously, I mean, we're not out here trying to do away with labor, but at the end of the day, you've got the workforce is not available in rural areas as it is in more metropolitan areas. We just don't have the people, But we've been using it for quite a while. The interesting thing about AI, you can teach it, and it's continually learning, and it's getting better, but you've got to figure out how to tweak it. The guy that we bought the operation from, I worked for him as a kid growing up, and had known him for a long time. And after we bought Nash Produce initially, we were packing sweet potatoes. And after a few weeks, he comes in, and he come in there every day. But he came in my office one morning. He said, "How many loads have you had rejected?" I said, "I ain't had any rejected." He said, "You're gonna go broke." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Because you're picking them out too much." He said, "You got to figure out because when you go to the grocery store shelf, you want the prettiest produce in there. But at the end of the day, it all tastes the same. You got to figure out through AI, if that's how you're going to let the machines pick it out, you got to figure out how to let as much get through as you can. And you want to push that envelope as far as you can. That's the only, growers understand money. Farmers understand, and we do as well. Everybody does. And at the end of the day, you've got to push that envelope so you can squeeze as much out for the grower as you can get, so that he makes a little money, the retailer makes a little money, we make a little money. So AI has a role to play, but it's, we've got a lot to learn with it.
Patrick?
Yes, absolutely. We've been using AI for a while, primarily in data mapping fields, tying it into some of the precision tools that we have on our equipment, as well as calculating inputs for each and every crop that we utilize. We also use AI for marketing tools to advertise some of the products that we sell as a value-add product that comes directly from our farm. And we also utilize AI to interact with some of our subscribed customers that are utilizing our CSA program for our farm.
Great. Yes. So it sounds like, AI is being employed for disease management, communication, breeding, overall logistics. With that in mind, and we'll start now with you, Patrick, and come down, are there specific aspects of your operation where you feel that AI doesn't belong, where you don't want AI to be involved?
Well, I don't want AI to take away the oversight of the owner of the operation or the bookkeeper. You don't want to overutilize that tool, especially when it comes to carrying costs and trying to differentiate margins and profits. But similar to what Thomas just mentioned, you just have to be able to manage the AI process throughout the way that you use it, and don't basically overutilize that product.
Yeah. Thomas?
I'm very excited about it in a lot of ways, and I'm very scared of it in a lot of ways. I mean, from just a pure common sense perspective, in my mind, I'm a little nervous about where this may lead. But I do see applications in our packing operation. I see applications in the farming operation. I see the benefits that have occurred. Some of the auto steer on tractors now, that ultimately they're big deals, and they have ultimately have kind of revolutionized and will continue to do more, because ultimately they lower cost, and that's at the end of the day, that's what the name of the game is being a low cost producer, getting your costs down, so that because the profits are not that great, so you've got to be sure that you can figure out how to maximize everything that you do, and I think that AI has a central role ultimately to play in that.
Great. Madeline?
Well, AI has a tremendous role to play with communications and marketing, but for me, I want to be sure that we can continue to build the relationships that we have with our customers, be it direct sales or CSA. That community-based connection is something that AI can help you with, but must ultimately be in the hands of the farmer and the producer.
Absolutely.
Yes, we see AI basically as a tool. We can't let it doesn't have any initiative. It doesn't come up with ideas, things like that. So there are certain limitations to it. As it's been said, AI will not take your job away, but the guy that knows how to use it better than you, he'll take your job. Okay? So it's all in how you use it. We also try to encourage, and we're older. So average farmer in the United States is 61 years old, small farmers. They need to put in a lot more of their information to give OpenAI more resources. But we just have to make sure that it's a tool that we use, not a tool that uses us.
Greg?
I mean, I think in our business, AI can be helpful in helping folks dealing with animals, but ultimately, I think it's going to be the animal husbandry, the relationship between the person caring for the animal and the animal has to be there. And it can be a decision-making tool, for instance, but it shouldn't be the final decision maker. In our business relies on people that go to work every day, whether they're one of our thousands of employees or a contract producer or their employees that have to care for their animals on a day-to-day basis at a fairly intimate level for us to be successful. And I think AI can certainly help with that, but I'm not sure it ever can replace that interaction.
Absolutely. Great. All right. Well, I think we're at the time now where we're going to open it up to questions from the audience. Does anyone have any questions? And I know, are there mics? Thank you, Deborah.
Oh, here and then you. Hi, thank you all so much for your perspective. My name is Gabriella DeSouza. I'm a consumer horticulture agent from New Hanover County. I had a question for Alvin and Madeline, just regarding, you had mentioned, Alvin, that you now use AI to take photos of a potential pest in your growing operation. Seeing that part of my job is to translate that science-based information and identify pests and diseases and things for consumers. That scared me a little bit, not gonna lie. But just out of curiosity, what applications are you using that are AI enabled for identification of pests?
Actually, this is just my own perspective. Okay, so we know that OpenAI, all of the other applications, that's mostly where they get their information from. So Google is connected to OpenAI, and there's a lot of information that's already in Google, in OpenAI, that Google gets it from. So a lot of the different applications use OpenAI as a source. And that's what I meant by also you have to verify your source, because AI will always give you an answer. It will never tell you, I don't know. And so you do have to check your sources, no matter where you get the information from. So certain things, we do check our sources. We run a lot of trials, different cultivars of produce. So we don't keep the best records. I wish I could hire somebody to do a better job than me at keeping that. But all of this, and I feel like I'm participating also, because all of the information that I input and the prompts that I give AI, other farmers can benefit from that too. So I suggest to all of the farmers, especially the older ones like us, who can be somewhat technology challenged, to at least put that information out there so that we can have more data to draw from, because this is a data-driven business now. Our margins are so tight. We have to know. We have to know now. We can't wait. We have to know now how to address those different things. Do you have anything to add now?
Well, I will say that we are using Seed, the app. It's called Seed. Are you familiar with it? Okay. So that's something that we've just started using.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to thank you, panelists. It's very educational to learn your insight. And my question, I was just thinking the AI could be a double sword, right? It can help, but it does hallucinate. And one of the things, especially agriculture, food, animal agriculture, there's a lot of misinformation there. So, and I totally agree with Madeline. The AI can be a good tool for communication, but have you ever run into any misinformation? How could we be prepared for it to fight, especially to, misinformation needs to, bias against the industry?
So your question is about misinformation? I think I stated earlier, and I would just reiterate that I view AI as being a tool, a decision-making tool that provides you with information. But I think ultimately you've got to have the experience to understand whether it works for you or not. I don't necessarily look at it as misinformation, because I think in agriculture, whether you're going to animals or produce, I grew up on a produce farm, tobacco farm. What works for me may not work for you, may not work, because there's a lot of differences, even from farm to farm for us. There's differences in how animals move, how the airflow is in the buildings, all those sort of things. So it's always got to be, in my opinion, a tool to help you manage, not necessarily the final answer. And it's not necessarily, in my opinion, that it gives you misinformation. It just may not be given the information that's exactly right for your situation.
Any of the other panelists experience misinformation or something that didn't jive? Yeah, Madeline?
Well, I will say that, as in everything, you have to ultimately be responsible for the information that you send out into the world, right? When you're inputting information into AI and sourcing information, you have to have your ideas, but you have to make sure that it goes with what you're getting in return. So it is ultimately up to all of us, right, to be sure that what we're trying to communicate is being properly put forth, right, for the general public to understand. So I think that we have to look at AI as being a piece of the puzzle, but not the entire thing. So, I was a teacher. So what do kids do? They go to AI, they go to ChatGPT, wherever, they put in their question, they cut and paste. That's the one thing we don't want to do. We want to be able to take that information, digest it, and then create complete information, the best information possible for our customers.
More questions. Oh, we got a question over here.
A quick question. So at this point, let's say if you want to have an AI tool that help you with the farm operations, where and whom you want to go to first? to gather the information? You can ask ChatGPT, but let's assume ChatGPT is out there.
I think from a practical standpoint, when I walked into the room, I'm telling you, I looked up on the screen and I'm thinking, damn, these people are a whole lot smarter than I am. Looking at all the data points, you got a lot of scientists, which is incredibly useful, and that's who's developing this stuff. But at the end of the day, most farmers don't look at things that way. So you've got to dumb it down, so to speak, to a point that, again, I hate to go back to but it's all about money. You got to show him that if you implement this will help you. Being accountable, that piece of it, that AI is not going to be accountable. People are accountable, and when you've got issues that occur on our packing operation, when Walmart comes back and says, why'd you pack this? I can't go back to the computer and say, well, why'd you put this in the box? I'm going back to the people that were online. Why is this in this box? We can't put this in there. And so you're not going to take that. What you hopefully are going to do is aid people in making those decisions and, get the worst stuff out. But from a farming perspective, I mean, you just got to figure out how to help those guys and show them that they can make money with it.
I think for me, we have an IT group that understands AI and can bring and offer solutions at times or present solutions. I think it's incumbent upon the industry, the folks that are involved in AI with regards to agriculture. I just reiterate the point. I can turn my computer on and I can go through my emails. I can do that sort of thing. And I'm 55 years old, but I think you've got to be able to show a farmer where the return on investment is. In other words, if I'm going to use AI to weigh animals, I know I can do that with the camera technology we have now, and I can have them sort the animals for marketing purposes. But you've got to, today there's somebody that physically does that, and you've got to prove to them somehow that actually is a cost savings for you, because even as large as Smithfield is, we're in a very tight margin business. So it is about margins, no matter where you're at in agriculture, particularly in production agriculture. You've got to make sure that the juice is worth the squeeze.
Great. Is there a question over here?
I have a question. I'm Stephanie Ward in the Animal Science Department here. Do you get feedback from either your consumers or your clients with any concerns about how you use AI, or what ways you might use them in the future? Do you think they're accepting of those types of technologies in your products?
I think from our standpoint, I'm on the production side, but I would get that through a trickle-down effect from our customers. No, I'm not aware of any AI-related technology that we've implemented that has been problematic. But I'm not sure we have implemented it in a way anything that would be problematic at this point.
Elvin, Madeline, any concern from your customers, the consumers?
At this point, I don't think so. Most of our customers are either through our CSA or directly through the farmers market. And I haven't experienced any sort of questions in terms of AI in this field.
Great. Thomas?
We, with our products that we sell with utilizing AI, we don't have a lot of consumers that even realize that we do use it. So we don't get a lot of feedback from those guys in regards to our whole initiative initially is to lower cost. I mean, it's just trying to get more efficient at what we do. And I think we're a ways away from having AI be the spokesperson or be out in front. I mean, it's always going to be somebody. And what we're doing is trying to survive as a business, and you're just trying to implement tools that or taught that can help you.
Patrick?
No, I haven't had any issues with that.
Okay. Great. Question over here? Oh, you got the mic. Great.
Oh, thank you for the sharing insights with us. I'm Dr. Udin from Virginia State University. I have a question regarding the future. AI created opportunities for us, right? For researchers, for entrepreneurs, everyone. And as you shared your insights, we got to know maybe adoption started, right? So how do you see after 5 years or near future, how much you will use AI in your business in the future? Are you confident that you are going to increase your interactions with AI, or just to know about the future?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Patrick, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think as as the AI tool gets better, I think it'll become more adaptive to our business, and it allows us to also become more adaptive to the tool. So yes.
We're actually working with a team here at NC State now to try to develop programs that will allow us to achieve the best yield out of a bin of potatoes, so that every grower is different. So you have some that are really, really good A guys, and then some guys that aren't quite so good. Ideally, what we need to be able to do as a packer is to maximize what we can get out in that bin. The worst thing that you can do in any business, and particularly the produce business, is run a dump truck up and down the road. Oh, that'll break you. You got to sell everything. And so if we're able to look in that bin of potatoes, and this is where we're trying to get to, look in that bin of potatoes and know that maybe this grower's potatoes will work best for U.S. Foods because it's food service. They aren't on a shelf where consumers are looking at them. So maybe we need to slide some of this stuff over here. And, you got really good A growers that stuff looks really good, and you want it on the shelf at Walmart or Harris Teeter or wherever. These potatoes would work better here. And the team at NC State is helping us a lot to kind of develop those tools.
Well, I would like to say that we partner with the Cooperative Extension on so many things in so many areas that impact our farm. And I'm super excited about AI in the next few years because I'm looking forward to getting so much more data about what's going on my farm, in my fields. And that comes from soil management, soil biology, water efficiency, irrigation. And so for me, I am just happy to participate today to share our perspectives so that the scientists involved in this can have more information and a better understanding of what it is that we as farmers need so that we can become more efficient. Yes, our margins are razor thin, right? So for us, it is important that we not only know exactly what we're going to plant, who we're going to sell it to, but also mitigate all of those things that may reduce our yields. So what is most exciting for me is that you're getting information in real time. We don't have to call the Cooperative Extension and ask our soil scientists to do a test and tell us what's going on. We're getting that information in the moment while we're in the field so that we can take care of it immediately.
And yes, and within the next 5 years, we would love to use AI to its fullest. At the same time, we do have to remember too, some of the technology that's even available now, we really can't afford it. Or it, as you put it, this juice is not worth the squeeze or however, but we have to, it has to be economical for us to use also. So a lot of the things that are available now just wouldn't make sense. And just to add to that, the one thing that AI doesn't have is intuition or the experience that we have as a farmer. And those are the things that we're looking forward to further enhance that. But we don't see it. We see it as a tool, and hoping that within the next year, things will open up for, especially for small farmers like ourselves.
I don't think there's any question that AI will continue to be a bigger part of our operation. I look at things because AI and automation are not the same, but a lot of times they're very related, and sometimes they are the same. But I'll take a feed mill, for instance, that used to have, in the last 10 years, they had 10 employees per shift. Now they have 4 employees per shift because so much of the maintenance checks, all those sort of things become somewhat automated. Same thing with truck loading and unloading and that sort of thing. So And the point was made earlier, in agriculture, one of our biggest issues is labor, and it's going to continue to be. The number of folks getting into agriculture, the average age of farmers, it's the same sort of thing when I look at our contract grower community that choose to grow animals for us. A lot of those, I would say the average age is around 60. I think a big opportunity for AI, and I don't mean to, this may be a question for somebody, but I'll go ahead and answer it, is we have a lot of folks that are aging out of the business. And I think one big opportunity is to gather that knowledge from those folks and be able to transfer it down to the newer folks in the industry at a much more rapid pace than maybe we've been able to do in the past.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question more from a practical standpoint. You know, pretty much every facet of your farm likely has several tools that are AI centric or have an AI module. How easy or difficult has it been for your teams to bring together all of those features into some sort of a central dashboard or a decision system for you to be able to look at it and make decisions? Have your teams been able to do that? I'd love your perspective.
Craig, you want to answer that one?
I think we've been fairly successful at that. I'll give the example of, you know, when an animal leaves a sow farm or a group of animals, they typically go in the same flow for grow out that they always go into. We've been able to do a lot with our modeling to say, okay, for that particular flow of animals out of this particular sow farm, this is what their growth rates tend to be. This is what their feed conversion needs to be. Is generally, not needs to be, but has been historically. And to be able to use that as the ultimate marketing tool 5 months later for when that animal grows to market to help us make marketing decisions. And I would say we've been pretty successful at that, but I see on my team, I've got 2 or 3 folks that are very focused on that, and it seems like we're getting better and better. The problem is the folks in the field that have been marking the animals that need to go to market next, they don't particularly like it because, so what we've got to do is show them this is a tool for you. When you go in this, you decide which barn you need to market a load of animals out of, you need to go to these barns and figure that out versus going to maybe go to 5 barns instead of having to go through 20, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think we've been able to adopt it, but I think we still have a long way to go, and there's a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah. I think we got time for one more question.
Yeah, I'm John Lindhoff. I'm at Auburn University, and I work mostly in the commercial broiler industry. So I guess my question is for you, Craig. It seems like the broiler industry has been kind of hesitant to adopt some AI technology, specifically cameras, which provide a lot of useful information, primarily because of profit margins, but also because of PR reasons and things like that. They don't necessarily want cameras in barns because they don't necessarily know what's going to end up happening with that data. Are you guys experiencing some of that? Like, are your contract growers, are you putting any kind of that technology in your barns, and are you experiencing anything similar?
Yeah, I look at the poultry industry. Their use of sensors and automation is probably better than ours. I would tell you, though, that from a camera standpoint, we have farms with cameras in them today because our customers want them there. And so I don't think we're necessarily against cameras. And I can only speak for Smithfield. I think the problem is a camera that holds up in that environment for an extended period of time. You become reliant on that, but then all of a sudden it doesn't work. The environment is, and that would be the same with anything outside. Can we make sure that thing is dependable and affordable, to your point? I remember we were looking at, there's great technology out there, for instance, that would use cameras to detect whether an animal's fevered. We would want to know that. We could know that through the camera maybe a day quicker than our person on the farm would notice that. But what we found is we haven't necessarily always been able to rely on that camera. It becomes an R&M issue. And once again, in a tight margin, and you're selling to someone that doesn't really understand cameras. And so, okay, how do I fix it? How do I replace it? We are using cameras now in our feed inventory on all our feed bins. We've got 18,000 feed bins across our company that feed the animals on the farm, and we've got cameras in those, and they're very reliable. So,
Great. Well, that is right on time. Would you all please help me thank our panelists? That was wonderful. All right, so we've got a 10-minute break. Hopefully, y'all stick around and get some coffee. If y'all have any questions, our panelists will stick around for a bit. But thank you all.
Okay.